Okay, in this tutorial, I'm going to talk about the autonomic versus the somatic nervous system. So we can also, we've looked at kind of different parts of the nervous system. We can also divide it into these two parts. So these are essentially considered parts of the peripheral nervous system. And the peripheral nervous system, this is basically the autonomic nervous system, is all the things that are controlled involuntarily. So what that means is these are the things that are controlled without us thinking about it. Now, the somatic nervous system is the things that, those are just our regular body movements, like moving a limb or an arm. When I go to pick up a glass in front of me, it's something I'm thinking or choosing to do. That's the somatic nervous system. So it's just another way of dividing up, and really we're talking about the peripheral nervous system. We're talking about those sensory and those motor neurons that essentially regulate muscle. So the autonomic nervous system regulates involuntary things such as our heartbeat, the movements in our stomach and lungs, all those things that kind of move without you thinking about them. So especially things in our intestines and things like that. So this is often what we call smooth muscle rather than our skeletal muscle, the ones that move our sort of limbs. There are muscles in some of these tissues that essentially are regulated by the autonomic nervous system. So it's part of the peripheral nervous system, and it also controls some of the muscles within our body. So some of those what we call smooth muscles. And it basically, the autonomic nervous system is the system that regulates those involuntary responses. So, for instance, we don't notice when our blood vessels change in size, or when our heart starts to beat faster, or even when food is pushed through our digestive system. We don't do that consciously, we don't notice it happening, so those are all part of the autonomic nervous system. The somatic nervous system is all the voluntary movements. So that's like literally moving my arm, picking up a glass, anything like that. So it's part of the peripheral nervous system. It's those motor neurons that activate what we call the skeletal muscle. That's the muscle that's attached to our skeleton, basically to make us move. So this is a system that we are in control of. So it's voluntary, and basically we use it when we want to make muscles or parts of our body move. So that's basically the difference. There are some cases of things that are sort of sitting on the boundary or have an element of both. So for instance, going to the bathroom, some of the muscles involved in going to the bathroom are under autonomic control, and some are under a somatic control. And what that essentially means is it's partly a voluntary and partly an involuntary activity. And we know that because essentially we have some control over when we go, but also, for instance, if we wait too long, at some point we actually lose control, and some of those muscles will relax or contract whether we want them to or not. So that's a case of where you have an element of both. But generally all you got to do is think of some part of you that moves, and whether it's something you're choosing or thinking about moving, or whether it happens on its own. So food being pushed through the digestive system, that's autonomic. Picking up a glass, moving your arm, waving, any of those sorts of things are somatic, the somatic nervous system. So it's just really the two definitions, and it really just is regulating the involuntary and the voluntary movements in our body. Cool, okay, let's get on with the next one.